Namaste. We are going to be talking about preventive health care using Ayurveda and yoga. To talk about this, we have Melanie Phillips. She is an author, speaker, Ayurveda practitioner, yoga instructor, as well as energy healer. Namaste, Melanie, for being with us.
Namaste. Thank you for having me here today with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just talk about the concept of preventive health care.
Sure. Well, Ayurveda is one of the most beautiful modalities for this because what it does so well is works on preventative measures, is giving us the principles and the applications and the tools to say, how do we keep ourselves healthy before we get the symptom, before we get the disease diagnosis, before things collapse. It's great after that too, but of course, preventative medicine is going to be much more fruitful than waiting until something has gone into a state of such dis-ease to try and reverse that after that. It's just that much harder to do that.
Sure. And then Ayurveda also has a concept of dinacharya and seasonal ritucharya. And you've written a book, right, on seasonal self-care using Ayurveda and yoga. So talk to us about the concept of daily self-care as well as seasonal self-care.
Sure. So we're rhythmical creatures and we're in a rhythmical universe. So when we can really understand that, and our ancestors were living more in rhythm with the natural cycles than we were. So if you think a couple of 100 years ago, where they didn't have the technology, the electricity, all of the modern day conveniences, they would go to bed at sundown and they would wake up at sunrise, for example. It's very practical and sensical, but we have so many options now in our culture that we have easily come out of rhythm. We can stay up on our computers or our iPhones any hour of the day. Now with our global connections for food, we can eat pineapples from across the world in the middle of our winter time. So we're very disconnected typically as a culture, as a society, from those natural rhythms. And Ayurveda teaches us very simple practices of the best time of day to wake up for your specific constitutional type or dosha, the best foods to eat for your specific dosha. And then the seasonal approach, and this is what my colleague and I wrote a book about, was saying, okay, if that feels really overwhelming for people, how do we look at a seasonal understanding and approach to our daily routine, to our yoga practice, to our meditation, to our self-care rituals, all of these things, to our food choices, because the season is affecting all of us. So for instance, here where I live in British Columbia in Canada, we're moving out of spring slowly and into summer. And all of us will be affected by the qualities and the heat of summer, the pitta time of year. And if we have more fire, more pitta in our constitution, prakruti, our true nature, then we will definitely feel this intensity. But we're all affected by the seasons. We're all affected by the weather. And when we can understand how our unique constitutional makeup sort of intertwines with what's going on externally, whether it's our daily rhythm or our seasonal rhythm, then we really have an advantage to work preventatively with our health and be living in an optimal state.
So tell us, like now we're all entering into summer, what is it that we should focus on?
Yeah, so for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, moving into the heated time of year, we call that the pitta. Pitta is fire and a little bit of water. So we want to bring in the opposite qualities. Fire is hot, it's light, it moves, it is sharp, it is intense. So think of doing the opposite things, cooling down, literally chilling out, right? We want to calm, cool, reduce intensity, especially during the pitta or fire times of day. So the midday when the sun is highest in the sky, these are not times to be doing intense activity, intense even mental activity, that we really need to be mindful of the external way that we're being with our mind and emotions, and also what we're eating for that season. So if we're eating pitta aggravating foods, things that are heating, so very spicy, very greasy, sour foods, so fermented things are sour. These will all be aggravating to the heat and bring more heat into the body, when in the summertime, we want to do the opposite and bring more cooling qualities. And when we talk about cooling, we don't mean in temperature per se in Ayurveda, but we're talking about the cooling qualities in the food itself. So for example, a cucumber has cooling quality, and chili pepper has heating quality. So when we understand the foods like coconut, rice, and milk, and cilantro, and melon, these things are cooling to our system internally, then those are the food choices, the pitta pacifying foods that are going to typically be good for most people in the fire time of year, in the summertime.
Okay, no, I think, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, all the fruits that are coming up now, right? Watermelons and honeydew, these are the summer fruits, mangoes. So let's just shift the gear to yoga now. So how would the yoga asanas be different according to the seasons?
Yeah, this is such a great topic because most people just think, well, yoga is good for you. Yoga is healthy. And when we become more subtle in our understanding of the asana, the pranayama, the mudra, the bandha, all of these components of our sadhana or our practice, then we can see that there are specific asana or postures that are going to be very beneficial for reducing the fire. So the organs, some of the organs associated with pitta, the main organ is the small intestine. So if you think of our yoga postures, many of the postures that focus on that small intestine place are things like twists. So we're twisting the body in that area. We're blocking off the flow of blood to that area as we twist. And when we untwist, we get a fresh flood of blood to that area of cleansing. Also the liver and spleen, those organs again in the core, in the middle of the torso, are connected to pitta, to fire. So twists, even forward folds, anything that we're doing to massage that area is going to be helpful. And then we also want to think about the approach to our yoga practice. So if we're going competitively and intensely into our yoga practice, and we're going in the middle of the day, so it's the fire time of day, maybe we have a break at noon hour, we're going to go do a hot yoga practice in a hot room with really intense postures, maybe we're trying to stand on our head, we're going to be aggravating the heat internally, and that will create excess pitta, excess fire, and excess fire symptoms. So our yoga practice, we can use some of the pranayama, the breathing practices, to cool the body. So shitali, where we're literally drawing in the air, cool, steady, calm into the body, it lowers our body temperature. It has a physiological effect. So these nuances are really helpful that we can weave them into our yoga practice. We want to slow things down in our yoga practice, not be pushing hard in this summer time of year. It's a time to really find a more gentle approach, a non-judgmental approach, a non-competitive approach, which will serve us in any season of the year, but particularly in the fire season, and particularly for those sort of type A personalities who are really trying so desperately to get it right, to do the right thing, to be strong in their body. The relaxing around the attachment to the outcome is very helpful in that respect.
So in your opinion, I think that helps a lot, and that makes perfect sense. In your opinion, like, what would be a typical day like in the summer using Ayurveda and yoga?
Okay, so with the summertime, we can wake up earlier than we would in the winter. You know, we have these longer days, and part of that people often will overdo in the summer and lead to a burnout because of that. But waking up with the sunrise is always helpful and recommended. And then going through your morning routine. So I always recommend to people, even if they're not into Ayurveda at all and have really no interest in it, to scrape their tongue. That takes off the gunk, the ama, off of the tongue in the morning, and then to drink some water. We don't want to have cold water in our system. And in the summertime, we can add lime to the water opposed to lemon, because lime is more cooling. So that's a great way to start your day, is to scrape your tongue. You can buy a tongue scraper, or even use the back of a spoon to sort of scrape down the ama that's on the tongue when we wake up. Have a glass of water with some lime in it, which is more cooling. And then after that, that's an appropriate time to begin to do your yoga practice, if that can fit into one's schedule, is to do some of those more calm, steady grounding practices, focusing on twists, focusing on cooling, calming breaths, and really letting go of any intensity or any need to push in this time. And then from there, after one's morning practice, and maybe there's meditation included, pranayama, like the shitali or the alternate nostril breathing pranayama. So cooling breath is going to be very helpful. And then having one's breakfast. And again, depending on the constitution, it will determine the timing of the breakfast and what you will choose. But like you said, Amita, if we just look around to like our local farmers market and see what's growing in the gardens, the things, the melons, the cucumbers, these are the foods, the leafy greens, those bitter foods are going to be very beneficial at this time of year.
Sure. And the message is to really connect with the nature. Whatever nature is giving you, connect with that, right? I mean, it's very simple. It's not that difficult. And then apply it to your personalized constitution as per Ayurveda principles, and then just follow that, right? I mean, that's how I understand it.
Yes, it doesn't need to be complicated. And I always recommend people like just take a couple of the tools and start to weave them into your life, whether it's the, water in the morning with lime, whether it's not drinking cold drinks from the fridge that will just put out your digestive fire, whether it's the tongue scraping in the morning, or just a different mental attitude going, oh, it's going to be summertime, the heated time of year, and I'm going to be more prone to impatience and frustration as the heat rises.
Sure. And it's Ayurveda and yoga is also a healing practice, right? That's the other thing. Can help you heal some of the trauma or some of the other issues that you might have gone through, and anyone might have gone through.
Absolutely. And this is where these sister sciences of yoga and Ayurveda so beautifully complement one another, because really the essence of these two modalities coming together is to support us to be the most optimal version of ourselves possible, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for being with us. Anything else you like to wrap up the session with? Any last line, any last thoughts?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you. And if people are interested in learning more, then the book, I was going to talk about my second book. The first book, Your Irresistible Life, 4 Seasons of Self-Care Through Ayurveda and Yoga Practices That Work, is a very beautiful and simple way to digest and understand these principles.
Yes. And the message is live the best version of yourself. I picked up this line from Melanie's website, by the way, that she had put it, but it makes sense. Yes. Any comments? Someone said very nice. Any comments and feedback? Anything that you'd like to ask a question? We have time for one question. Or if you cannot think of any question right now, let me see. Someone is saying something. All right. No, that's okay. All right. If there are no questions at this time, you are welcome to put the comments at a later point, and we will respond. With that, thank you so much. Namaste. Have a great day, everyone. And